What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Wildlife Photo Chat Video Edition. There we go. We just recorded one right before this. Somebody messed up.
I did.
How's it going, everybody? Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Today we have this cool shot. This is a photo I took just outside of White Sands National Park. We were staying at this campground area. It's like free camping just outside the park. And I photographed these ducks on this lake. It's like a wastewater treatment thing, so not something you want to get down on the edge a lot. And the watercolor was like really weird this year.
Greenish.
It was like a strange green too.
Yeah, like
a
bio,
like something up. So this year I'm not too keen on getting water level. Plus I had already done it, and it just kind of felt like I'd be shooting the same kind of stuff. But I've been trying to think about things a little bit differently this year. And so before I describe everything I was doing with this, I think let's do what we normally do and start with you.
My thoughts on the image?
Yeah, sharing your thoughts on the image, and then we'll go from there.
So I love the perspective. I love the wake, that you can see the wake, and like the shape that the wake created. That kind of, it's just such a pleasing curve to it. I really think that makes the image, and I mean, along with the colors of the sky that are kind of reflecting, and there's definitely it's such a sense of like, it's just like a beautiful shapes that are in that image, like along the duck, or what is it, a duck?
Yeah.
Along with that, just like the water lines are so beautiful, and it's like such a simple kind of photo, but like also has depth to it from the wake that's being left behind there. And I think, not everybody would necessarily see that. Like, I wasn't out there shooting with you, but I don't know that I would have seen to photograph it the same way. So I think that's interesting to note as well.
Yeah, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
So I had a bunch of work that day, and then I think I finished my last online session just before sunset. So I was kind of sitting at the computer all day, and definitely in a mindset of I just need to get out and get some fresh air. And I saw the sky was looking beautiful, and more importantly, most of the time during the day, that lake is windy, and so the surface of the water looks kind of crappy, but it completely kind of glassed out and was pretty there's a little bit of texture happening in the water there, but it's very minimal, and so it was a really calm evening. And so I saw those conditions kind of lining up, and I was like, I'm going to go out. Plus I wanted to play with, we had recently gotten that 28-400. I don't know, it may be like a few weeks prior, so we've only had it for a couple weeks at that point, something like that. And so I was a little bit more anxious to kind of play with that as well. Plus I had seen some birds swimming closer, so I thought there was a chance of getting some shots like that, like a little bit wider, kind of showing off the scene, and potential for stuff closer too. So I kind of wanted the range, and I knew I'd be shooting mostly silhouettes, so I wasn't worried about the aperture on it being, potentially f8 on the long end. And so, I grabbed that setup. I think I shot, what did I shoot with this one? Z6 III maybe? Z6 III on that one. And I went out, and I planned on just standing up, because I knew as soon as I saw it kind of clear out there that I could shoot down on it and get just nice, clean, minimalist shots. Right. And that was my goal. But then I saw this northern shoveler swimming across, and the wake that it was creating, and I saw the same thing. I was just like, oh, this shape is so beautiful. And I composed to try and show as much of that color in the sky as I could, because I think if we look at the original right here, you can see there's a shoreline.
That's where it starts to get messy.
Yeah, so there's straight out of camera right there, and all I really did was just punch up the contrast and then clean it up. I don't think I had to clean up much of anything in the water.
Yeah, it looks like just a crop and
crop, color, and saturation,
Right, and like minimal adjustment.
Yeah, and so one thing, there's a little bit more wake over here on this side, but I decided to crop it out because it it wasn't that defined.
Right.
And it also started kind of like that line
Getting more
sort of went away there.
distorted or something.
Yeah, it was like showing more layers to it. And I felt like it kind of took away from the clean line that was there. And I know there's a little bit of it, but cropping that way kind of offset it a little bit better, I thought.
Yeah.
It balanced it better and took away some of that as well. And this was totally a shot where I remember thinking, like, you have to be up high to get this, because if I was low, every foot I went down here, the closer that shoreline comes to the bird here, and then it allows me so much less space to play with. Now, I guess if I really wanted to think about it, and I didn't have that much time, and in hindsight here, I'm thinking, well, the wake end's right there. Mm-hmm. I could have moved down to kind of move that wake up into the color there.
Yeah.
And then had the bird kind of swimming out of kind of this corner of color. But, you know,
there's something nice about the
space there.
Yeah, the space. It almost like leads you to that color.
Well, yeah. The other thing I'm thinking about right now, though, is the lower I get, the more compressed vertically the wake gets.
It would be a different shape.
It would totally be a different shape, right? This curve right here would compress. That curve right out there would compress. It would, like, the lower you get, if you get low enough, it's all going to become just a line.
Right. So then that wouldn't have the same effect.
You wouldn't see the shape as much. Yeah. So actually, like, now again,
thinking
about it
again,
even more.
In secondary hindsight.
Yeah. Well, thinking about it more, this seems like it was the right call, actually.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how low I would have had to go to move it up into that pink there, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it was a blast. I shot a ton of photos that I was really happy with on this set. All real clean, super minimal. And yeah, there was just not a lot to do to them in post or anything like that.
Yeah,
it was nice.
It's just like beautiful shots that you saw in the camera, and it just kind of translated straight like out of camera.
Out of camera there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful conditions.
And it's like, it's just like maybe a reminder too that you don't always have to have the lowest perspective. I feel like
for sure.
There's that thing a few years ago of like, oh, get low, and like, sure, sometimes getting low is going to get you the best kind of image, right? Like the most dreamy, the most whatever, but sometimes it's not always the case, and you would miss that shape or something about that image if it was.
Yeah, and I totally remember being there last year and shooting the low stuff and remembering like the opposite shoreline was a challenge.
Right.
You know, even when I was shooting like really long telephoto, like the 400-2.8 down there.
Yeah.
Which was doing the best to blur out that background.
Right.
Unless something came really close to me and I could completely obliterate that background, that horizon, that shoreline, it was kind of challenging. So it was really nice to not have to worry about that at all, in essence, you know? Yeah,
I think it's just good to keep in mind that, like, you don't have to be stuck in any sort of rules. Like, never to like put yourself in these rules of like, gotta shoot a certain aperture, gotta shoot a certain this or that, or like gotta get the lowest as possible, because it's just, then you'll miss things about the scene, you know?
Yeah, potentially.
And maybe miss the best opportunity or the most creative or the most something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's anything else to add to this other than I really enjoyed shooting that lens for it, the 28-400, having such a wide range. I was able to, and would I end up with this one? 130 millimeter.
Yeah.
So I could have shot this with the 100-400, but there were other times where things came closer.
And you wanted to get more like
and I wanted to get really wide stuff or just really tight stuff and get portraits, as well.
Yeah.
And so it was just nice having the flexibility of that. And I think, only 1,000 ISO there.
Yeah.
Didn't need a ton of shutter speed for shots like this. You know, they're just swimming slow. So 160th was plenty. And it was an ideal lens for this entire kind of shoot. So that was a fun thing to play with. So.
Let's see, what do you say? Anything you'd do to improve the image?
I mean, I think we kind of talked about it. I've talked through like, it would have been nice to try and position it up there, but I don't know that would have worked out, because it's not like it's just a tipping composition thing. Yeah. And I guess I could have positioned the bird up in the upper right in camera, but then I would have lost the purple up there that I really enjoyed, you know?
No, I think it's a great overall, like having him kind of more in the middle of the like your focal range, like where your eye goes.
And I think it works up in the corner like that.
Then
you
you
know?
lose all that pink.
Yeah, you certainly lose the pink. Let me see if I can enlarge this.
Maybe
here.
like if
Why
it was
is that
something
not
like
going
that,
away?
then if it were me, I'd probably like punch the colors or something more.
Yeah,
just
get it
to-
a little bit more blue, but
But yeah, you don't need that when it's like with the purple in there.
you know what's
the
so
pink and
weird too?
purple.
Like this, just doing that, all of a sudden it feels too close to me in a way. I know it's still super tiny in
Yeah,
frame, but
it is.
like compared to that, you
Yeah.
know, like that just felt like such a nice sense of
Yeah, it's-
space and everything. And
Well done, Ray.
thank you. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next one.